Your Dallas Cowboys in the news, attempting to unload veteran pass rusher Everson Griffen, and they have. According to NFL media, Griffen goes to the Lions for a conditional sixth-round pick. Doesn't seem like much, but the Cowboys unload the balance of his salary. There's a combination of salary and significant per-game roster bonuses for Everson Griffen. That now becomes the obligation of the Lions, who are 3-3, very much alive in the NFC, especially with 7 teams. Oh, and by the way, once he gets through the COVID protocols, he surely won't be able to play this weekend. Game 1 for Everson Griffen, he goes back to Minnesota as a member of the Detroit Lions. So makes for an interesting couple of weeks. And Griffen, who had 2.5 sacks so far this year for the Cowboys, has a chance to make a difference for a Lions team that is surprisingly contending.
Mike, I just can't wrap my head around this and really figure out what the Cowboys are doing. I mean, they didn't get much for Everson Griffen. He was second on the team in sacks with 2.5, had 1 on Sunday, and played significant snaps, played for 34 snaps on Sunday against Washington, and actually probably his best game, but maybe they were showcasing him to trade him. I know Randy Gregory's coming back, but can you count on Randy Gregory? He played 6 snaps, I think, the other day, but can you count on him when you haven't been able to count on him his entire career and you haven't seen him play in more than a year? I'm really having difficulty figuring out what the Cowboys are doing, but it almost reads like they've realized that this year is going to be a write-off. They're not going to get it done. Let's get all the cap space we can possibly get to carry over for next year when we can try to rebuild this defense, which is going to be the main thing they're going to try to do, obviously, outside of signing Dak Prescott to a long-term deal.
Or I'm not ready to say it's a full-blown fire sale, but to the extent you can go player by player, if you can identify a guy that you think you can do without, that you can think doesn't fit, that you can think for whatever reason is not a guy that is going to contribute significantly to what it is they're trying to do, and they're still trying to win the NFC East. They're only a half game behind the Eagles with Philadelphia coming up on Sunday night. If Griffen is a guy they've identified as someone they don't need, yeah, there's a way to get a little something from a contender, a better contender than the Cowboys, and avoid that $3 million, $6 million actually in total potential cap space that would have been tied up this year, bump it over to next year. And that's the thing. Under the current CBA, and it's been this way for about a decade now, you can automatically carry over any and all cap space you want. You don't have to have any tricks. You don't have to have any special language in contracts. It just carries over, and they're going to need to carry over as much as they can. So I don't look at it as folding tents. I look at it as this is a guy we can do without, and we'd rather have the $6 million next year than him for the rest of this year. I don't think this is the beginning of a sell-off. I just think this is an example of one guy, and it may only be one guy that they've decided they can do without, and they'd rather have the cap space next year.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's a fire sale, Mike, but I do think they'll listen to offers to any and all players that they have on their roster just to try to get, A, that cap space, and B, whatever draft picks they can get. I do think they see there's a significant upgrade that's needed here, especially on the defensive side of the ball. This is not a good team. It's not going to be a good team without Dak Prescott and then without Andy Dalton for this week or however long he's out for sure. But it's not a good team right now. So you do start thinking about the future a little bit, and maybe it is something where another player or two is traded. I know they're going to listen. Whether they get any offers that they can't resist, we'll see.
This one may sound crazy, and there's a good chance that it is, and I need to look at what the cap consequences would be. What if somebody called with an offer for Zeke?
Now, if I'm the Cowboys, I unload him right away. I say bye. He has not been good, not lived up to that contract. I move on from him. Absolutely. They would love to get rid of that contract. I mean, it's an albatross on him right now with what he's doing compared to what they're paying him. He's just not been good. In fact, he's probably been, compared to what he makes, probably the worst player on the roster so far this season.
And it looks like the cap charge next year, if they moved on from him, would be $14.9 million. His cap number next year is $13.7 million. So it's not like it's going to solve their cap issues. It would solve some cash issues. But I don't know that anyone out there wants to take on that contract right now either. Because unless you are a team that otherwise has everything else and you're one running back away from contending. Boy, he could be this year's Herschel Walker. If there was only a dumb franchise out there like the Vikings in 1989 that was willing to give up. Yeah, where's Mike Lynn when you need him? Where's a team that is contending and otherwise has every piece except a high-end running back and would do something like this? That's not going to happen. I think that they won't get any calls on Ezekiel Elliott, but at least it's something fun to think about. And, yeah, look, here's the thing. Whatever attachment fans may have to a player, it is a position by position, name by name, rip the last name off the jersey and make a decision about whether or not this guy fits what you're doing. What are your alternatives? What can you get? And more importantly, what can you unload by way of cap space for next year to give yourself more room to sign Dak Prescott and otherwise do business? All right, Jerry Jones, appearing as he does twice per week, although I wonder how much longer this is going to last. I wonder if he's going to do the 60 Minutes walkout on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas. He's on there twice a week. He was on today with Sean and RJ, a show that I have been on from time to time in the past.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.